Hey guys, Mana here, bringing you another Warlock guide. This time I'm going to be talking about patch 4.0.6, what's changed, and what it means for us. Now I'm sure most of you have already seen the patch notes, so I'm not going to be going over every single detail. I'm going to be going over the things that are going to be affecting us in PvE, but if you are interested in seeing the patch notes, if you haven't seen them already, I'll include a link to Wowhead in the description below so you can check them out. So before I get started, I got a couple announcements to make. First of all, thank you to everyone who saw my Beginner's Guide to Affliction video and liked and subscribed. I'm very happy you enjoyed it. Thank you to the people in the Wowhead community that replied to my thread. I honestly didn't expect it to be so well received. Thanks so much, you guys. You guys are awesome. And lastly, I'm currently working on a video for players that are working on maximizing their DPS. It's a bit of an advanced guide, so it won't be like my Affliction video that covered the basics. But after that, I do plan on going back and doing a beginner's guide to destruction and demonology, where I go over spell priorities, specs, glyphs, and demon choice. So with that out of the way, let's get started. So the biggest change is without a doubt improved Soulfire. As most of you may know, Soulfire is a spell that was being used by all three Warlock specs because of improved Soulfire. But however, that's just not going to be the case anymore. Improved Soulfire is being moved up the destruction tree, so only destruction will be using it as part of their basic rotation. Demonology will still be using it during decimation, and Affliction won't be using it at all. Now, there is some talk about it still being a DPS gain to soulburn your Soulfires, but there's still a lot of theory crafting going on regarding what will be the optimal way to use Soulburns. But what is confirmed is that Affliction and Demonology will not be using Soulfire as a regular part of their rotations anymore. And at first it seemed like a loss in 15% haste is going to be really bad for Affliction and Demonology, but it's actually not as bad as we thought it would be if Affliction and Demonology are still very competitive. Now, another spell that's been changed is Curse of Exhaustion. Previously, it would slow a target down by 50%, but that's been changed to 30%. Now, this change is most likely, and by most likely I mean assuredly, based on PvP, but it does have PvE repercussions, since some Warlocks were speccing into Curse of Exhaustion as utility in some encounters. That means it's going to be a little less useful, but I really don't see those Warlocks who specced into it not wanting it anymore. It's still going to be a useful spell. So Demonology got a lot of nerfs to their AoE. I'm okay with that. I feel like Demonology's AoE was a bit too strong. I feel like these nerfs will put it in line with other class AoE potential. So basically, Fellstorm, your Felguard ability, the damage has been reduced by 20%. Immolation Aura, the damage was reduced by about 30%. And Inferno, this talent, it's no longer going to increase the radius of Hellfire, but instead it'll increase the duration of your Immolate by 6 seconds, in addition to already letting you cast Hellfire while you're moving around. Now, another spell that's been changed is Demon Soul, specifically Demon Soul Imp. Now, previously, this would increase the critical strike damage on your cast time destruction spells such as Shadow Bolt or Incinerate or Chaos Bolt. It would increase their crit damage by 60% for 30 seconds, but every time a spell would benefit from that effect, it would lose 20% of the benefit, and then after 3 spells benefit from it, it would expire. Now, that's been completely changed. Instead of increasing the crit damage, it will just increase crit chance by 30%. And the amount of time that you receive this buff, it's been reduced from 30 seconds to 20 seconds instead. So Destruction got some interesting changes. Burning Embers, the damage has been reduced by 15%. Destro's Mastery, Fire Apocalypse, the benefit for Mastery has been increased by approximately 8%. And here's the good change, the one that I'm very glad is in the game. Shadow and Flame can now proc from Incinerate in addition to just Shadow Bolts. Now, the reason why this is very important is because in some raid compositions, Destro Warlock would have to cast Shadow Bolt as a part of their rotation in order to maintain the improved Shadow Bolt debuff on the boss. This would happen if you didn't have like an Affliction Warlock that was casting Shadow Bolts or a Fire Mage that would be putting up critical mass on the boss. And that about does it for my overview of patch 4.0.6. Overall, yeah, we did get some nerfs, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's not as bad as it looks. there are no numbers that really would suggest that we're no longer competitive in the DPS charts. Affliction and Demonology Warlocks will benefit from a simpler rotation, and if you're a player that's struggling at all with the Affliction or Demonology rotation, you may even see a DPS increase thanks to the reduced difficulty of the rotation. So, now that 4.0.6 is live, guys, I'm curious as to what your main spec is going to be. Now, me personally, I'm probably going to stay with Affliction with a demo off spec, but I'm wondering what everyone else is going to do. So, please leave a comment telling me what your main spec is going to be and why. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Later, guys.